Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Jackie and today we're going to play with the Strawberry Soiree collection from Bargain Bead Box. Now I pulled a few beads and I'm going to play with these and make a bracelet. And so what I've got out is I've got the 8mm pink crystal beads. They're almost like little disco balls. I've got the 4mm crystal green beads. Looks like these are bicones. And then I've got size 11 Preciosa silver seed beads. They're nice colors. I really like those. And then I pulled the clasp from the collection. So I think that'll look pretty in this bracelet, just to add a little bit of flair. So we're going to do this in right angle weave. Reason why is because I have a certain look I'm going for, and I think it'll look quite pretty. So how we're going to start is I'm going to go ahead and grab a pink, first let me tell you about the thread. Okay, so I've got some nylon beading thread. I got this from Fire Mountain Gems at a good price. They had them on sale. And they come in all different kind of colors, so you know, if you're tired of just using plain old black and white, these are good to have. Now they do require a little bit larger of a needle, so I've got a size 10 beading needle and I've already got it threaded. 2 arms lengths of thread, so just stretch your arms all the way out and then you know, run your thread all the way out and cut it. And that's a good length to work with. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put on a pink bead. I'm going to show you step by step how to do this. So we're going to put on a pink, then I'm going to put on a seed bead, a bicone, and a seed bead. Then I'm going to put on a crystal bead, a seed bead, a bicone, and a seed bead, just like so. Okay, and then I'm going to pull my thread down until I have about an 8-inch tail. That gives me plenty to work with when I'm finishing off the bracelet. So I'm going to go through this bead. Okay, and then to secure it, I'm going to go through the seed beads and the bicone bead. I'm going to go through the round and through this set. And then right here, I'm going to tie a square knot. I want that first round to not slip or pull out. So don't worry, the knot will be hidden and it won't obstruct anything. Okay. Alright, so once you get your knot right here, then just go back up through this bead. Okay. So next, I'm coming out of this, so I'm going to add a seed bead, a bicone, and a seed bead. And I want to make sure that they go through my needle nicely, because if they're tight, then you want to take them off immediately, and that one is kind of tight. But the reason why is because I have to pass through them a few times, and I don't want them to break. Okay, so I've got those. I'm going to put on a pink bead here. These beads are interesting. They've kind of got a milky and a translucent. So it makes them pretty, kind of unique. Okay, so I'm going to add a seed bead, a bicone, and a seed bead. Make sure they go through, and back up. Okay, and then I'm going to go back through these three and back down the pink bead. Now I'm going to tighten this bracelet up on my next step, so don't worry about it, you know, if it's a little bit loose. You want to pull tightly just to get it together, but we'll tighten it up in the end anyway. Alright, so we're going to do the same thing now. We're going to add a seed bead, a bicone, and a seed bead, and then a pink bead. And a seed bead, a bicone, and a seed bead. And you can use whatever color seed beads you like. You're not limited. So, you know, although the kit's silver, if you like bronze or gold or even copper, you can do that. I'm kind of partial to bronze too. I think bronze with these colors would be very romantic. Okay, so now that I've gotten through that one, I'm going to go back up through these two, or these three beads, like so. Pull it tight and back up through the pink one. Okay, so that's the pattern that we're going to do throughout, okay? Now, to measure for our bracelet, I'm going to get the tape measure, and I'm going to measure how long my clasp is. And this is a pretty big one. So this one is about 1.5 inches. Okay, now, so you'll take that and you'll measure your wrist from there, okay? So my wrist is going to be at, let's see, about 6 3/4 comfortably. So that means minus 1.5 inches, my bracelet part itself will be at about 5 1/4 inches. Now I'm going to add a couple of loops to each end of the bracelet to put on the clasp with. So, you know, that'll add about another 1/4 inch, give or take. So that'll give enough room to be able to maneuver it on my wrist and, you know, close it shut. Okay, so now you know that, and so I'm going to continue on with my pattern. Now, I'll be back as soon as I get to my 5 1/4 inch, and then you can meet me back here when you get yours as long as you want yours to be. Okay, I'll be right back. Alright, so I've gotten my bracelet to 5 1/4 inches where I wanted it. And now I'm going to show you both how to insert the clasp and how to tighten this up a little bit. Okay, so we're just going to basically finish it off. So I still have plenty of thread on my needle to work with. And so 2 more things I'm going to need is, since the beads are going to go around this way, I am going to need 2 jump rings. So I'm going to fish out another jump ring, and I think I'm going to use matching ones just so it matches up. So I'm just going to use 2 matching jump rings here. Okay. I'll put that aside for another time. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and grab my jump ring and insert it into my toggle. And And then I'm going to close it with my flat nose pliers. And you should be able to hear it click. If not, it may just not be far enough. So what I'm going to do is hold on to this, grab the other end with my other pliers, and just shimmy it until side to side only. But I'm going to shimmy it side to side until it all matches up. So I got a little bit more to go. So when you go side to side, eventually you can kind of feel it touching, but I definitely want it closed as far as I can get it. Okay. And then I'm going to take the other jump ring, and I'm preparing this ahead of time. And I'm going to put it on here. Grab this end. And then shimmy it closed. Now this one may snap into place. Yep. Okay. If you could hear that. Alright, so I've got a nice smooth finish. Okay. So this end I'm going to attach here. Okay. Now I'm going to keep this part pretty simple. So I'm going to add, I think 10 seed beads should be enough. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, one important thing is I don't want the ring on the clasp to go in between any beads. I don't want it on the thread, so I want it to be held by the beads only. And that's just for sturdiness. And of course, unpredictably, you know, I tangle the thread, so bear with me while I get that out. Love when that happens. Alright, 15 minutes, a big magnifying glass, and a few cuss words later, I finally got that knot out. Alright, so I'm going to start over, and I'm going to add 10 beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. So make sure they all go down my needle. And then I'm going to thread it through the jump ring. And again, I want to make sure that the jump ring does not rest in between any beads, that it only rests on the beads. So this is going to have to get pulled tight. So I'm going to run it back through the pink bead and pull it tight, making sure that, you know, it's within that ring. And then I'm going to go through one more time. And I may have to do a few at a time here, but just to make it nice and tight. Okay, and I'm happy with that. Okay. So I've got the clasp on, so it's not resting in between any beads, so there's no chance of it coming out. And so now I'm going to run it up through one more time if my beads allow me to do that. So you got to do it carefully just so you don't break any beads. If your needle gets tight, try to gently pull it with your pliers. If you think you're going to break it, you probably will, so, you know, don't go too far with it. But just gently run your needle through until you get to the 10th bead here. Okay. And I'm just going to use my pliers just in case and just gently pull it through. Alright, that's secure the way I want it. Okay, so now I'm going to add a bead, and I'm going to go through the seed bead, the bicone, and the seed bead, and pull, and I'm probably going to need my pliers a few times here, but just pull gently. You can twist, but just be sure not to break any beads. If you break a bead, like I just did, then you can always add it back on. There is a way to do that. So I'm just going to add 2 beads here, because I just broke a bead. It happens. Okay. It's not going to hurt anything. Okay. So now you see I'm going to have 3 beads in between each of these beads. So I'm going to add a bead. Going to go through these 2 beads. Okay, I'm going to add another one. And if the bead doesn't go through gently, if you feel at risk of breaking a bead, I mean, in this case you can replace them, but you know, you may have to just take your needle out and make sure that you're not tangled up in the thread in order to get them through. So most of them did go put through pretty easily. And another thing this does is it tightens up the bracelet. So you see that everything is now uniform. And it also hides the threads. And so as you're tightening it up, you see it just tightens it up, makes it look nice. Okay. And so I'm just pulling and keeping it tight and running it through, and everything will be even. Try to attempt that one. One seems to be tough. I'll try again. But sometimes it's just a matter of how you're inserting the needle into the beads. Okay. So I'm just continuing on around. And I'm going to show you all this in full, just so if I can get that through. See if I can get that through, okay. Yep, I can. Okay. Yeah, I like how even that gets. And basically I'm just working my way to the other side so I can attach the toggle part. And if you want, you could add a different color seed bead in the center if you wanted to, you know, just add a little bit of variety. I didn't really feel the need to, but let's see. Sometimes you just have to try this a couple of times to make sure you're not getting it caught in the thread. Yep, see, that matters. Okay. Wish it were that easy every time, but for the most part, I guess it's all right. Okay. It's almost done, and of course I broke my needle. All right, well, I'll be back. I gotta go get another needle. That one broke. Okay, so I actually switched down to a size 11. I think that'll be a little bit easier to get through my beads. So that way I won't break anything. All right, so continuing on. Going through the sometimes I think my day just wants to be difficult. Okay, almost there. Yeah, it feels better with the size 11. I was unsure if I could get this thread through a size 11 needle, but I worked with it just a second, but it went through just fine. Okay. Now, to put me in position for the other side, I'm going to go ahead and tighten this up because I'm expecting this to be a little bit tighter. But I'm going to run my needle up through here, through this bead, and then I'm going to add the 10 seed beads. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, just make sure they'll go through easily. Okay, and so making sure that my clasp is in the right position, I'm gonna go through the jump ring here. It might help to bring my beads down first. Okay, then I'm gonna go through this 3 times, and that's just to make sure that this part is as secure as it can be. Okay, so you may have to come up through your jump ring a little bit, you know, run your needle past it. But that's 1, 2. And then 1. And one more time. By the time you get to the 3rd time, it's going to feel pretty sturdy. Now I'm going to add a bead here just because I want to kind of go in between here, and I'm just going to go through this last bead here. Reason is just to close that gap. Those gaps are not needed. Okay. So make sure I don't tangle my thread. Alright, and then I'm going to go back up here and through the, just through the pink bead. I'm going to go around to this bead at the end. And it may be hard to pull through. Like I said, you got to work with it sometimes in hopes I can get it through. Okay, I probably can't, so I'm just going to add a bead here and then start going through these. And that last bead is, you know, that's just for looks, because there's a little gap in between here and the other bead. So yeah, I'm just trying to conceal that a little bit, which it works just fine. Okay, so I'm going to add a bead, and I'm going to go in between here. And this is where I start tightening up, and you'll notice that when you start tightening it up on this side, it will even out the bracelet. So both sides will be nice and even and pretty. You see that? Very uniform. Okay. Very happy with this. And just as you go, be sure and tug on it, so that good 2 arm lengths of thread is just enough to make this bracelet. Now you may have to add on thread, especially if you have short arms. I have pretty short arms myself, but you know, if you have to add on a thread, just pick a spot that's inconspicuous, tie a knot, run your thread through a few times, and then, you know, just add on. And you can see my other videos, you know, on seed beading on how to add on a thread. I've already shown you guys plenty of times how to do it. Okay, so don't want to go through that bead too well. Okay, I didn't break it, thank goodness. Okay. I think this thread has a little bit of stretch to it, which is kind of good in this case. Looks good. It's turning out right. So it kind of has a look of maybe little pink berries. And little green leaves. And I think that bead there was broken. The good thing about this project in particular is if you add on a bead, if you break a bead and add on another one, it's not really going to show. It's not going to be dominant because, you know, the threads get hidden. So, you know, you have the option to repair it while you're going. Can't do that on every project, but on this one, it works out really well. Okay. So I'm going to get through the next bead. Like I said, always pull gently with your pliers so you don't break beads. Okay, so we're coming down the home stretch. Okay. So it's very even, very sturdy. And one set to go here. And a bead. And I'm just going to run this through here. Now I'm not going to go back through any of the seed beads because they're on there pretty tight, and you know they have multiple threads going through them already. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up a thread from underneath this round of seed beads, and I'm going to tie 2 half hitch knots. Now I'm going to pull my thread out a little bit. Okay, so I'm just tying 2 half hitch knots underneath one of the threads that's underneath the seed beads. Okay, simple as that. And then I'm going to run it back through just like so. I'm also going to try to see if it'll go through this bead and at least one of the next beads. It may or may not. Actually, I think it will. Okay, that's good. Okay. So that's as sturdy as they get. And then all I gotta do is trim my thread. I didn't make a great big mess. My bracelet is nice and even, feels sturdy. And pretty easy to make. And I'm gonna unthread my needle here and gonna thread this one. Now if you recall at the beginning I did make a knot with this thread when I tied it off for the first round. So if I can get through the needle, which would be nice. Come on, thread. Okay, got it. Yay. Okay. Alright, so let's see. Looks like it's coming out here, so I'm just gonna make 2 half hitch knots under the thread that's coming out here. Just very discreet little knots, and I only want it going onto one thread. And then I'm just gonna pull it through. I'm not even gonna try to pull it through any of the seed beads because I don't want to risk them breaking. Okay. And a good trim. Okay, and here's your finished bracelet. So just a nice sleek little bracelet. It's got a very pretty clasp on it. So I love that decorative clasp. I think that looks really nice. Easy to put on. And I've got a thread. I think I might burn that, but you know, it'll be fine. But yeah, so looks good, nice and sparkly, perfect for summertime. Going to the beach and, you know, just out in your day as usual. So I love that. Okay, well, thank you for watching my channel. You guys have a great day. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave your comments down below. Make creativity be your guide.